Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated continuing on with my Tip Volume 2 Historically Accurate Munster playthrough, and one of the reasons that I'm able to continue is because the mod's developer, Manded, has put out a kind of a rolled back version of the mod. We've had the release of Friends and Foes in the last few days. I haven't checked it out yet, but I've had to roll back my version for the last episode that was done, or I had to roll back my the actual base game itself. But Mandate has updated Tip Volume 2, and that actually caused my game to crash. I just checked it, but before that he had already rolled back so that the series can continue, or he'd already put out a rolled back version of the mod. So we'll be continuing. We don't have any memories yet though. As soon as we discover anything, we forget it immediately. But one thing I do remember from the last episode is the crusade. The crusade for Jerusalem. And at the moment, it is going very well. It is going very well. So this is the first time I've ever seen this, a crusade on the verge of success. Leinster was briefly involved, but they were kicked out after they achieved their goal of liberating themselves from Ivorian rule, overthrowing our nephew and causing a bit of trouble in that part of the world. Look at this man, Callistus II. This is a man that we're going to be paying a visit to quite shortly. So the last episode wasn't exactly the most exciting. It was the first one after the death of Murchad, and it was very much trying to mop up and sort out the various problems that he had created. We've managed to take back Dublin, and with it, Meath, but Dublin was the main one we wanted for the troops to try and bolster ourselves against a resurgent and very powerful Connacht. And Connacht is actually a tremendous threat to us at the moment. If we look at Leinster, this is now under the control of the MacMurchas again. So our nephew has been kicked out. He's still part of Leinster. He's now under their control. And we're pushing for Leinster. Now, we'd like to take Leinster from the point of view of being able to push on and form the Kingdom of Ireland. But is that Diarmaid's goal? Diarmaid is worried about Connacht. Connacht has looked to the north of England for allies, and they're finding tremendous support in the region. We're going to look to Scotland. We're going to look to Scotland. So unfortunately, this is something that I didn't want to do, but we are going to marry our daughter Fionnuala to the son and heir of the King of Mon. So that's going to bring in, I think, 1,500 troops. So that's the first thing we're going to do. He's spindly. So that does lock us out of using claims that one of our wives might have, and pushing to take this region. The other thing we're going to do, like I said, we're going to visit Callistus. Here is, I want to call him Prince Adam. Here's Prince Adam, who expressed interest in marrying our 0-year-old daughter. We've had problems with this devil. We've had problems with him. He's disrupted affairs in Scotland. He has weakened Scotland tremendously. And what we're going to do, the Pope will not give us a claim to the Kingdom of Scotland, but he will give us a claim to the Kingdom of Dol Clua. So we're going to request that claim for 280 piety. That's going to be just basically this region here. So this is in Moray. And hopefully, His Holiness will see fit to give us a foothold in Scotland, with which we can try and solidify affairs here and possibly build a power base to counter the very strong North English alliance that Connacht has established. Now, the last thing we do before I start up the game, I'm going to come to the list of courtiers. We can see that we're under a tremendous amount of stress, and there is pretty much nothing we can do to get it down. And in the comments for the last video, Brooke suggested that we hire a court jester. Now I was thinking, do I want to? I mightn't bother. However, we have somebody very suited for the position. Eilish, or Eilish, the wife of our brother, Murchad, the barmaid, the adulterous, fornicating barmaid. So this is somebody that we haven't thought very highly of. We have the ability to imprison her. She's one of the sinful members of our court, so humiliating her by making her our court jester and hopefully getting some stress-relieving events to see if we can save this man from a severe mental breakdown. His Holiness the Pope has pondered our request and has decided that he will indeed recognise our claim to Dol Clua. There has come to light irrefutable proof that your ancestors did indeed rule the land in ancient times. There are actually connections between the Onucht in Munster, or groups in Munster, and the Dal Naradí. And of course there would have been connections between the Dal Naradí and the Dal Riada, so there might be some truth in what he is saying. We've spent 280 piety. We might try to get some of that back through I was going to say a crusade, through a pilgrimage at some stage. I'd say he's in great form. He's doing well on the crusade, so he's happy out. So we will take that, and we'll wait for that alliance, hopefully to form in Mon. We don't really need it for this process, but we might just wait for that and then push in and try and take the region. And speak of the devil, and he will agree to an alliance. We formed an alliance with Mon. Who knows what that's going to drag us into, what affairs that's going to drag us into in that region. It looks like our army is pretty much up to the highest it can go. We have a lot of upheaval in regions. We're going to try and increase control in Dublin. And while we have peace and while we have the ability to do so, we will try and push our claim to the petty kingdom of Dol Clua. We have sent our army marching up from Ossory, and I've forgotten what this man is, our brother-in-law, Waldiv in Lothian, has agreed to join the war. I'm trying to see, where is Anya? So it wasn't Anya I was thinking of, it was Alva. My best friend, whose name I can't even remember, and who's actually in a different court. I'm trying to remember how we're actually allied to these people. Waldiv is our brother-in-law, because I am... Diarmid is married to his sister. Look, Scotland's really far away. I can't remember what's going on here half the time. So Lothian has decided to come out to actually meet us. That's very nice. Thanks a million. You could have just gone in and attacked him yourself. And Lothian has now put us in a spot of bother. Lothian has put us in a good spot of bother. I don't know if we're going to get out. We're not. Oh, Lothian. We actually have an advantage on them, even though they have vastly more troops. We're seeing a faction created against us by... what's her name? Maelmuid. I think one of our son-in-laws may have just been killed, or an important knight, because Lothian has kind of gone off in a strange direction. It decided to try and avoid those 1,800 troops. Our Chancellor, Olaf, has not been impressing Caelach. She has started a Liberty faction. So we've managed to actually defeat them. So Moelmwira, married to a random member of the family. He had some pretty good stats. That's why I organized that marriage. He had some pretty good stats. He was an very interesting spy figure. But he has been killed in battle, so that's a bit of a hindrance to us, and our army is still actually withdrawing, even though we are in a position to go in. The army is commanded by a member of House Cannig, I'm not even too sure who this man is. He is a knight that we hired and married to Ben Ulla. He has been maimed, and he is near death. Well, this has been a tragic, tragic, tragic battle already. And we're going to have to replace him as commander with Brian. So already things are kind of going bad in this region. Hopefully Lothian will go into the other region and begin sieging it down. Nope, that's too much to ask for. And we'll just take a quick look at how the battle went. Lachlan getting in with the most amount of kills. When the poor man was slain by Provost Wiglaf, who I believe was the heir to Dol Clua, but the heir has now changed to somebody else. And there you go, the poor man has died from his wounds. The commander of that battle, a fantastic victory. We were outnumbered. We captured a guest. I actually thought that was the man himself for a second. Could potentially become an interesting military figure at some stage. I'm not too sure we'll be even able to recruit him. I'm also not too sure has Lothian's army stood down. They haven't. They're still there, but we don't actually have the numbers to siege this place. Lothian are coming back because they see there is King Adam's army, or Prince Adam's army, and it might actually be the best process to try and attack that army at some stage. When we sent him to Leinster, this is exactly what we wanted. The timing is just bad. Our bishop is in a position to prove that we have claims to the earldom of Leinster. But seeing as Aina insists on being a heretic, Pope Callistus won't be happy with that. A heretic. We could claim that we have claims to the entire petty kingdom of Leinster by divine right. It's going to cost 182 gold. It's going to shove us down a good bit. If we can get the siege finished quickly and bring this war to an end, we can get out of debt quickly, or at least I would hope so. We're going to push our claim. It puts us in a rather difficult position for a short while. We're into bankruptcy and we're losing money. And Lothian isn't exactly happening, or helping, I should say. Adam is sending his army back and then turning it around. I have ended my attempts to sway our nephew, Arthur, because our relationship is pretty strong, and we are instead now trying to sway the Pope. We see Iceland appearing. Control has been restored somewhere in Dublin, and we've managed to take just a second county. We got a fiver, not too shabby, and we have brought this war to an end. We will enforce our demands, and he has now been demoted to Moor Mayor. He's gone off into this region, so be it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I didn't think we would get the entire region. I actually thought we were just going to get down here. I didn't fully expect that we would get these as well, but this has been tremendous. We were in a position where, to finish off the Dol Clua, we can now push for Lennox and Sra Éireann. So we have claims now to these two regions. We could... let's see if we can stand down the army, first of all. We should be in a position to declare war. Once we come out of debt, we should be in a position to declare war. I think she's gotten herself a new hat. To take these two counties, and we would have been in a position then to push up into here. Ross is under Flora's control as well. And we could very well take the title of Moray. So we're actually in a position to push a tremendous amount of effort into this region and try and basically take 3 extra counties, possibly this entire region, and see if we could form the Kingdom of Scotland. But for now, this is being done mainly to try and create a bulwark against Connacht's ally in this region. With that recent expansion and with a number of changes, or with a number of people reaching adulthood we're in a position to actually change our court, and to change our court significantly. Here is Brian, the son of Murchad, long-standing marshal. Long has he been our top commander. He is a vassal. Here is a powerful vassal, Adam. And Adam has much higher... Where's it gone to? Marshal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign him. He is a powerful vassal, which means that we're going to gain some extra prestige by having a powerful vassal on the court. Here's Cormac, who is a powerful vassal. And he has an 11. And we actually have Countess Caoch with a 17, so I'm going to assign her as our new steward. Hopefully she's going to help bring in some money. We might want to try and sway him at some stage. He might try and form an independence faction against us. The only other weak vassal is Arthur, and we're not in a position to change him at the moment. So he will be hanging on. And speaking of Ban Ulla, we have a few widows in the court. We might see if we can form marriages for them and attract new knights to the kingdom to replace our losses in that last battle. Moraid's husband, Moel Muira, was slaughtered in that last war by a Scot. So we're going to stay as far away from Scotland as possible. As we find a new husband, we're going to Japan. Oh wait, no, that's not Japan. We found a Scots husband for her, Captain Patrick, or a courtier of Captain Patrick. Very good prowess, but it's mainly for the Herculean trait. So we've organised a matrilineal marriage, and we'll see if we can get some traits, like I've been saying with the last while, into the family. The former Countess of Dalnardi, her first husband, Murchad, who conquered the region from her, drank himself to death. Her second husband, the commander, was killed in that last war. Alan isn't great, but he has the virile trait, and life expectancy and fertility. They would be handy things for us to have. We'll organise a matrilineal marriage, but of course he will become a member of the Dal Fiatach, but it'll be handy to try and keep them in the court. Here is young Magnus, who we took in one of the last sieges. His father was the ruler of Inver-Or, which was taken at some stage by Adam. We'll negotiate his release. We'll recruit him to court. His brother is the Bishop of Breffni, and he's being educated in the learning lifestyle. I'm not too sure by who. By his mother, by the looks of it. If I'm right. Yeah. His mother's a bishop. His brother is a bishop, so here's a man that could very well, especially with that trait, a man that could end up going down the religious route. And our alliance has run out. We saw him there a while ago, married to our sister, Alva. Gilabrigta has died in the midst of a Viking invasion of his lands. He died, he drank himself to death. No better way to go. Here is one of the marriage alliances that we're trying to establish in that region. Magnus has joined our court. Here is Ferkar, our son. There's our nephew and ward. I don't know who these people are. Murchad's son. When he showed me the animal, its wounds were evidence of a slow and torturous death. Ferkar just smiled. So I think that Murchad would have encouraged this. Our only problem is that if we try to change him, we're going to take on stress. I don't think we're in a position to do so. We're too stressed out. If it was any other time, we would correct him. We would try to make him ambitious to increase his diplomacy, or we would try to... we would make him ambitious. But right now, we're too tired, we're too stressed from the loss of his father, our brother, and the loss of many great knights in our recent push into Scotland, and the loss of so much money. It is just an animal. We see there Earl Cormac has put together a Liberty faction against us. He's not too happy since we just sacked him. But also, returning to our court is our sister, our poor, deranged sister, Alva. That seems to be running in the family as well. Let's see if we can form any alliances. Here is marrying her to our brother-in-law. Here is marrying her to our brother-in-law. And then the rest seem to be into the family. We could marry her to Adam and try and get that penalty down. Here is Gloon Earn, her stepson. That might be a bit weird. Gilabricta, we saw at one stage, had quite a large army, about 1,500. That has been decimated by the wars that it fought against both Scottish and Northern English troops. Way up in Tyrconnell, here's a man that we've seen hanging around for a while, Rory. And he has 770 troops. These guys at the moment only have about 500, and especially as they're being raided down by Iceland. So what I'm actually going to do, of course, this would be a much handier man to have if we do end up at war with Connacht. So I'm going to send that proposal to marry him to Alva. And speaking of Connacht, Rory in the Sea Bui has died just 2 months ago. And his son, Rory II, has come to power. He has a daughter who is the heir to Huicha. And here is his heir in Connacht. Fairly distant member of the family, of the House Bruin I. A diplomat. So of course the fact that he has no sons and nobody of the same house as him is kind of throwing things out a bit. They haven't lost any land. They have lost a chunk of troops. He's not the same kind of military figure that his father was. So that's helpful at the least. And speaking actually of a loss of troops, what we had want to do is start sorting out. This is the main reason that we actually conquered Scotland in the first place. We'll try and restore some of the... That's going to take 3 years. There you go. We'll start in Meath. We are told that Adam has formed an independence faction against us, and I imagine that's going to be quite a strong independence faction at the same point in time that we have gained a new lifestyle perk. Let's very quickly check how that faction... That is a very strong faction. That is a very strong faction. We've just formed an alliance with Tyrconnell, but we could very well be trying to use this forced vassalization against them at some stage. We're going to go for the Ducal Conquest, which could be of use to us in Scotland. We're probably going to go for forced vassalage next. So Ducal Conquest gives us the Ducal Conquest Causus Belli. Seizure of counties required to create an uncreated title of duchy rank. So that probably is going to give us some help in... That's going to give us a lot of help in Scotland in forming the rest of the Duchy of Moray. I'm watching these divils here. I'm not too sure that they come in and raid this area. I'd nearly rather if Adam rebelled, because then we could actually take some land off of him. We could take land off of him anyway, but it'd be a bit problematic at the moment. However, we are bankrupt. We are bankrupt. Iceland has gone into the lands of the Dalnardi. I don't think they'll go for Connacht. They actually have... Never mind. They might be going for Dublin. That'd be interesting. If they are... Where are they going? And they have indeed decided to hit Dublin. Let us raise the armies under the command of our new commander, our new great commander, formerly Prince Adam. We will send them in. We're in a good position. We have a better army commander and slightly more troops. Now, they will probably be able to get into a better position, or will they? I was going to say if they start retreating northwards. we might have been caught. We might have been in a bad position by them. We haven't really gotten to sort out many of our knights since the last battle. Adam is a fantastic addition, of course. The Pope has been swayed. It looks like we're going to deliver a fairly hefty blow to these Icelandic troops. Luaid is a knight. That's not good. We've captured 83 gold from law speaker Torvi. And the victory has given us 42 prestige. So a tremendous, tremendous ejection of the Viking forces from our land. They have taken us out of bankruptcy. They've put us in a position where we might be able to declare war on Limerick sooner than expected. And by Limerick, I mean Leinster. I've been doing that all this episode. I don't know why. They didn't have a great number of knights in there at the Battle of Wicklow. There's Lachlan. It's kind of the same name as Higgin. I think it's where Higgin or Higgins comes from. There's Murdo. I think this is his first day on the job. And there's Adam. Adam's first day on the job, so not doing too bad at all. Poor old Cormac of Desvuin, who's being a bit of a nuisance. He's after getting himself injured. We can see that there's been a bit of a change of affairs on the island of Ireland. The husband and wife team of Edoin and Scahach, they are now both part of Leinster, and they've actually had a son and heir, Donal. So Donal is going to be the son and heir to this region, but Scahach has now also been dragged into the Kingdom of Leinster. So a bit too late. Leinster is beginning to extend its influence. It's actually become quite powerful at the moment. And I was going to say that now would be an opportune moment to declare war on Leinster, other than the fact that we have this Divil. And that if we were to declare war on Leinster, it would probably weaken us to a degree where he would consider declaring war. I've actually changed to a scheme to try and sway him, but he's having none of it. The right to rule Dol Clua belongs to me. No, it doesn't. The Pope has letters saying that I have the right. Accept the fact peacefully, or I will make you do so by force. Well then, we're not going to do that. I will not be threatened. 'Tis treason then. Due to the war, we can no longer sway Adam, and of course, Adam has now left our court, and poor Owl, I have a feeling it's going to be Brian is going to be asked. Brian, sorry. Do you remember that time I sacked you, Brian? Sorry about that. So we will assign Brian. He's going to continue trying to sway, and this time what I have done is I have called in the King of Mon to assist us in this war. I think that's our army up to full capacity. So we'll start to march up anyway. We'll see what's going on in this region. We've been overwhelmed by stress because our brother Thaig has died. Thaig. Asphyxiation during a violent coughing attack at 55. That's really putting us in mind of the fact that I think our father was about 55 when he died as well. So we've just gotten out of that wounded category. The other option is to lose money. To lose money, or I cannot make mistakes. I am the petty king. So he was wounded there for a couple of years, baiting himself, and he has for 10 years, and we'll suffer another mental break in 5 years if we are unstressed. I will scourge myself for Murchad's sins. And actually, straight away, our physician has managed to unwound us. We're going to march for Inver Or. Already, our alliance with Tyrconnell has fallen apart. We just have to go and try and find our sister now. It doesn't show you the secondary wife, so it gets kind of confusing. But there you go. The man lived to be 72 years of age. He has now died, and the title has passed to his son, who is not inclined to accept vassalization. So we'll invite our sister back, and we'll see, is there any other alliances that we can form? So Alva has indeed returned to court. Look at this man, a truly blessed soul. Bishop Luaid has become a true example of insular kindness, leading his flock with a gentle hand. Always ready to listen and help the less fortunate souls coming to him for guidance. How commendable. So our fervour has increased. I was thinking of sieging down Inver Or. I'd say what we'll have to try and do is actually hit Adam's army. He's depressed and he is a compulsive spender. Connacht has never fully recovered from its defeat to Munster in that last war. And maybe Rory is more inclined for an easy life. Possibly he too worries about the growth of Leinster. Possibly he has seen Munster spread into Scotland and realises that he will not be able to contend with a powerful Munster, a vengeful Munster. Maybe he realises that he's not the military figure that his father was. Rory is prepared to accept a marriage to his aunt. So if I'm correct, there is Moore, our half-sister, and here is Moore's half-sister, Alva. He'll just about accept. There are age considerations. She is 35, he's 33. Hextilda is 28. Maybe he has become accepting of the fact that he's going to be replaced by a clown when he dies, because he hasn't had any children from his own dynasty. We'll solidify this alliance. It will end the threat posed to us by Connacht until one of these two characters dies. And that will allow us, hopefully, to mop up in Scotland and possibly bring Leinster under our control as well. An alliance has been formed with Connacht. My dear uncle, I gladly accept your marriage proposal between myself and my aunt/your sister. May our union bring peace on the island of Ireland. Well, peace to the west anyway. We'll see about the east. So our forces are going to hit, and they tried to get out of that a bit too late. And a bit late, the rest of the army came in. Mordo has been wounded. So we have victory, and Zibina, a person of interest to us, has died of natural causes at 39. Of course, spent years imprisoned after somehow having a long-distance baby with our brother. Those were the days. So Adam's army is going to fall back into Ireland. It's entirely possible that they'll start sieging someplace down, unless Man... Oh, Man. This is why I like you. You're much more intelligent than Lothian. Lothian would have just hung around here doing nothing. And Petty Queen Geetha, speaking of claims to the Isles and the Isle of Man, is pregnant. So if we have a son, again, that might give us claims to the people who are currently fighting alongside us. A very quick look at that last battle. Lachlan and Higgin and Coleman. Mordo got himself injured. Luaid is still in there. I am worried a bit about Luaid. Magnus, the devil, has come of age and is quite a solid knight. There's Brian and Olaf. And then we're seeing Gebenach and Ragnar from Man's army. And of course then there is Wiglaf, the provost, who was once the heir to the independent kingdom of Dol Clua. We're being told about a strong faction. A faction is soon going to have the ability to lower crown authority, and that is Cormac. So what we might have to do with Cormac is actually try to start swaying him instead. We're kind of spinning around a good bit, but hopefully we'll be in a position to take Adam prisoner at some stage. Now, of course, Adam is sieging down the Isles. We've taken 1 siege, we've taken 2 sieges, and our primary wife is pregnant. If I'm correct, that's our primary wife, who is the sister of the Duke of Lothian. Enforce our demands. Down into our dungeons we go. Heilvik van Chile. I so want that to be Chile. Heilvik van Chile. Heilvik van Chile? Heilvik van Chile. Little Baba. No idea what they're doing in the court. Bavarian. We will recruit them. We will negotiate the release. And we, Diarmid, will train them as a diplomat. Donald of Tintagale. Look at this. Look at this for learning. Look at this for learning. This is a man who will be recruited and who will serve as our new physician. Dovdil, if I am correct, has done great work in the past, but here we have a man with the herbalist trait. Mastermind, philosopher. This is a man that we want in our court. You waste of space. You've gotten married. Fair play to you. To somebody who I don't think has any alliances. So he has land split across 3 duchies. We will revoke Inver or we will revoke Atholl, which is in Albany. So this is Moray, Albany, and Dol-Clua. This is an act of tyranny. And all subjects will gain 20. Now we still have him in prison. What about Lanrig? Can I do Lanrig without it being an act of tyranny? I can't. All subjects will lose 20, so we maybe can't do too many. Yeah, we'll shove him up into that area. We'll take this one, so then. I was going to take Atholl as well, but you know what? He'll probably come back and just try and do this again. And what we weren't watching is the fact that we've become overwhelmed by stress because we are just so. We did, however, lose some stress because we took stuff off of him. We will ransom him out to himself and get back some money. And we're going to see what type of an effect that's going to have on us. I don't know if this is something that's happening intentionally, but I do like the fact that, from what I've seen of the Irish rulers anyway, there does seem to be an attempt, should a female come to power, to preserve the surname by doing what would have been quite common when women, in the rare cases that women inherited, the common thing to do was they would marry a close male relative. Women could inherit what was known as a lifetime claim on land. So if somebody owned land and they only had a daughter, on their death she would inherit the land. On her death, however, her children could not inherit. The land would go back into her father's family. So the way in which she could pass her land on to her children was to marry a close male relative, an uncle or a cousin or something like this. So that's what we have here. Here is Patrick, who is our stepson. And he has, well, his mother has a plethora of interesting claims. Mostly to the Isles. So that's something we could try and do in the future, is possibly push into that region. That's something we might think about doing. And of course, like I said, she is pregnant. So a potential member of the the O'Briens might actually have claims in that region in future. And to bring today's episode to an end, we will take a look at the great Kingdom of God, Croatia. Croatia, what are you doing here? It's another Croatia series. Croatia has been big in the last 2 series, and I haven't been playing there. This one isn't under Irish control. I have no idea what they are doing out here. But Jerusalem, the Crusades were a success, and we have here I have no idea who this man is. He's Hungarian. He's from that county there. That's where he's from. His grandparents were... it's a powerful Hungarian family, and they have succeeded one way or another. And there is maybe his sister or something. It's his sister who is also his primary heir at the moment. So the crusade was successful. They have a fairly solid army, and they do seem to have enough that if they were to be attacked, they would be able to hold on. So there you go. The Kingdom of Jerusalem exists. The Kingdom of Ireland is not as close to existing. We're actually nearly in a better position where we could seize Scotland, but of course we do have that claim. We do have that claim to Leinster, which we could push in the next episode. We're caught for money, and we are caught for stress. We're going to have to call a hunt at the start of the next episode to try and get rid of some of that stress, and hope it stays off this time. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope to see you on the next one.